Alrighty, hello, hello. Let's see if everything is working. Close this. Submit a replay. Let's see. Okay, YouTube chat is already capturing. Twitch chat is already working. Okay, both are pinned. Okay. What up, Brussels? Okay, both ends of the stream should be good. Hello, closer. Oops, I need to do one thing. No, it is capturing properly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, should audio and everything. Yeah. Just gonna have to remember to change the ranks for the reviews. Alrighty. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need Discord open, of course. That's where I'm gonna be taking the VODs for review. What up, Valentine? How's my PC handling everything being open? Let me check my task on. Surprisingly well. I guess Overwatch is not. Wait, no, Overwatch is using a lot right now. Why is my memory usage lower than usual? I don't know. I'm not complaining though. More stuff open and less memory usage. Hello, Yerno. So now go here, and I just wait for a VOD to be submitted, and then we can go.
The wind blows in my favor.
Double triple kill.
Where's my battle pass at on this account? I'm pretty sure I've basically not played yet.
Fuzzy sleepers balance the mind.
Should get some levels. Oh, I need 79 for all the coins. Woof. I'm not played on my main at all, really. Been doing side quests. There wasn't anything I wanted at the shop, I don't think. Yeah, cause wait, does somebody remember the Genji skins? There was the cybernetic one. Oh, this one is. Whoa. I might grab this actually. Wait a second. Filter, unknown. Where is it? The one that was recently on. I mean, this is one that I missed. Would have been cool to grab. Shurikens are bad, but you can always fix that with a mythic weapon. I think the skin overall is good, but I don't know how much I would have used it. At least not on this account. What is the name? I forgot. This one. This one I got on my my alt. I'm using the Galactic with it, which is pretty good. But I could swear there was another one earlier. I don't think it's this one that I'm thinking about that I missed. This is a cool skin, it's just too bulky, unfortunately. It has so many skins, it's crazy. See. Still no VODs, so I'm still just waiting on submissions. First come, first served, by the way. Of course, there's all the epics Overwatch League stuff. I think I'm gonna grab this one though. I think this one is too cool. Let him cook. The weapon, I don't like the weapon as much. But just wait a second. If I go here, yeah. Like it's a bulky type of shuriken, which I don't appreciate, but I really like the way that the metal is done here. I always forget the term for like all the little ways that you can see from the crafting process, right? The forging process that I think is really cool from this skin. And even if you're not gonna use the weapons from the skin, like you're gonna use the mythic weapon, for example. I still think it's just a fun skin, right? Just because of the whole chef team. I don't remember if I have tried this out before, but I'm pretty sure the arm is not bulky from what I see on his build. Yeah, the arm is not bulky. The glove is a little bit unusual for like Genji look first person. But I think that just the chef team is too good to pass up on. Buying on a discount. I'm curious, what are your favorite skins? I wanna play with this combo. I've not really used this flavor of the this color of the mythic skin. I haven't really played that much of the mythic skin after like the initial seasons. It would have been fun to do like a Pride Month charity event using this skin, but I still had like internet issues by then. But I just really love the Toronto Defiant one. Toronto Defiant is so nice. So nice. And there are so many good combos too. Like, it's a really good skin for the mythic weapon, but it's also like a really good skin just with defaults, with golden, with Crimson Wolf. I don't think Galactic or Jade look all that good. But then you can also just go ahead and swap to Away, and it looks really good. Honestly, all of them look pretty decent. Although Jade is still, I think, the worst looking one. I really love Golden with the Away skins. Because it's, the white is very neutral, right? Black or white are very neutral colors that give something like the red or the golden, right? Like, it lets it shine. Whereas if you're doing something like this, it looks good, but it's a little busy. Because it's all like different, like it's red, but like it's different level of vibrancy and stuff like that. It's just like, it's less of an issue, but there's more fighting for your attention, right? Anyways. Where are my VOD review submissions? Hello? Is Discord not updating, or has nobody submitted something yet? I'm waiting. Also, since I am not streaming with my browser open, I don't know how many people are watching right now, so I don't know if I have like a big crowd that could be submitting at any point, or if not enough people have joined by now for me to just be like, okay, I should expect a VOD soon. If anybody could tell me how many people are watching now, that would be great. I would love to have more memory and be able to just have the stream managers open while I'm streaming, but I don't have enough RAM right now, and I'm dreading having to buy RAM because I've heard the RAM prices are crazy. Genji has so many good skins, but at the same time, the thing that I find weird is that a lot of them I just don't want to use. Because the thing is, like, there are cool designs. There are some that are cool that then they don't work because they're bulky or whatever, right? But there are a lot of skins that I would like to play with, but I just never end up playing with because the base design is just too clean, and just doing recallers of the base design just ends up taking all my playtime. Anyways. I remember when Genji only had 4 highlight intros for a while, and then apparently now he has 12. He's just been getting it permanently. Still really love the original ones. Okay, there we go. We have a VOD. Nice. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I need to go Maximilian Vault.
offers are only for the most discerning.
Yeah, minus 51%. I'm grabbing this. And I'm gonna play with this skin at some point. Let me do where is it? Here. Favorite. And equip it here. And I'll play with this eventually. Chef Genji is too fun. Should make an emote using this skin too. Something about the let him cook with the Genji. Also, is anyone familiar with this hat? I'm assuming this is just like something about how Japanese cooks, like what they wear and stuff like that. But I find it interesting that the hat looks like this. I was wondering if there is like, I mean, a lot of it is probably just like aesthetics, like they just designed that hat and it's stuck with what they're doing. But I wonder if there's like anything extra to it, because you know that how like what was I thinking, like in really hot places with like if you just think about the cowboys, for example, and like the stereotypes and like the types of hats that you're gonna be seeing there, a lot of those hats are big to provide you with shade, right? To protect you from the sun, right? This is a smaller hat because of course the cook is gonna be, I mean, usually inside. So there are sometimes that cooks are gonna cook outside, but like I would assume that most of the time you would wear this and you would be inside your restaurant, right? So I wonder if there is like any specific purpose to the hat. Essentially, I can see a bandana, and I would assume that is for like absorbing sweat and stuff like that. Maybe holding the hair and stuff. But anyways, let me go here. So the person that submitted this VOD, I just want one thing.
Ready for battle.
I want to know your rank, because on the submission you said diamond and platinum. Which one are you? +4? Okay, okay. Let me go here then. Okay, there you go. Just leave the plat icon and we'll go from there. Here. I have the thing. Oh yeah, and what was written? Getting carried the whole game, don't know what to do different. Okay.
Attackers incoming.
Right, how does this interaction go?
Attackers
Let's slow down.
Escort.
Ooh. Okay, I'm not gonna start talking yet. I wanna see more, but this already just gives me something that I'm gonna be paying more attention to in terms of like the sensitivity and the aiming, which might be something to talk about. We'll see. Now, the one caveat I will say is that since I'm not doing free coaching, I'm not gonna be sitting here and just spending an hour and just being like talking with the person and also just like really going through the VOD and everything. This is kind of more the style that I would do if I was doing offline reviews. So, or the free reviews, I guess, because sometimes I do them live, sometimes I do them offline. I haven't done them live in a while, but I think it's nice to come back to it. But I'm gonna be kind of going faster through them to get through more reviews, give people quick pointers to what to go through, rather than just giving them just a full coaching session for free, right? Because at that point, what is the value of paying for coaching, right? Then I'm just kind of scamming the people that have paid me for coaching before or will pay for me in the future and stuff like that. Like there's no difference on the side. So while there is stuff to talk about, I'll first just like, I'll quickly look through a bit of the VOD, look for a pattern, then come back to relevant examples, talk about them and move on. That's basically the approach I'm gonna be taking in these VODs. But yeah, so far, just like, I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, no, I would say just fairly expected from the rank in terms of the setups, the aim, the understanding of the game, etc. Yeah, I'll watch like a minute or two more and then I'll just come back to the starts, because I already have a fairly good idea of what I want to go over. Yeah. I wanna just watch the blade. But yeah, if people in chat also have questions regarding the VOD and want to talk and stuff like that, it's not like I'm only doing this for the person being reviewed, right? I'm live for a reason, so. Okay. Let's go back. So, really good flank, really good distance for Genji, etc. What's the issue, chat? What is the issue? Give people a second. So let me see how many VODs are in the queue. One more, okay. Yeah. Yeah, chat is spot on. Too early. Great angle, but where are we? Uh-oh. My Winston is pushing points. My soldier has no angle. My supports don't have LOS on me. Right? So we engage and the Juno looks at us. The Ana looks at us. The soldier is gonna look at us. Heck, the Ram, I mean the Ram less so if there are people main, but if nobody on our team picks, even the Ram can turn at us. And they already are just like losing most of our HP. And for what? This setup reaches backline, has so much potential, and we're just kind of throwing it away because we're just leading the charge with it. And it's not like leading the charge is necessarily always bad, but in this case, you were not close enough, it wasn't isolated or anything like that, they had resources and everything, there wasn't a trigger for you to lead the charge, right? So what ends up happening is a setup that we could use to look for a kill on Juno if our Winston was jumping in and like our soldier had LOS and etc. But like, even if it's just the Winston here, it's already pretty good. We kind of waste because we have to deflect here because we cannot handle this pressure and we're not realistically killing in a 1v2, 1v3, 1v4. Right? So we end up only getting value because the soldier overstays will welcome. And it's also crazy how easy it is when you have team help right in your setup. Yeah. I also am gonna quickly comment on this because I see a lot of Genji players doing this. This is just lazy. If you're gonna shoot at this distance, which to be fair, you could just walk and not warn them that you're here. But if you're gonna shoot at this distance, left click. She's walking in a straight line. It's a slow descent backwards. Just aim, wait, shoot your primary fire, line it up. Then you might be able to solo kill in this circumstance. Could just go for a quick 1-2 dash, maybe get a kill. Like a solo play kind of thing. But you didn't play for it, you just right click at range and it's just really lazy, right? Because you tickle the Juno and you lose your deflex. Wow, nice trade, you know? And we're gonna see here again, we're gonna have a great setup. Really, really good setup. But what about our timing, right? Like our Winston already dropped and bubbled and etc. But we're kind of just not in there at the right moments. Oh, Winston is dropping. We need to be dropping here. Either we're already here, so that the moment that your Winston drops on the front, we drop in the back. Or if we're gonna stay here, we drop with the Winston right now. We could insta-dash because we have deflect, we have bubble. Our team is, I mean, the Lifeweaver is gonna be pushed up in time to help us, etc. Right? But you could also just drop, shoot, shoot, shoot with the Winston and then go back top. So this is what I meant of like expected here, right? We have a general understanding of what Genji is supposed to do, and we have a generally good, like we're generally comfortable with doing Genji things like the aiming and the dashing and etc. But it's not quite there, right? It still needs development, right? The timing is a little bit off, the execution is a little bit off, right? Things like that. This is good. Winston is in. Now we're in. Great. end up not hitting enough shots, unfortunate. But even if this doesn't kill, and this is an important note, chat. Is this a good or a bad play? Because with over the Winston, we didn't hit enough shots on the Cassidy. Yeah. Depends on the timing. Well, what is the timing in the situation? Is this good timing? Shouldn't dash? I think dash is a nitpick here. I think dash is fine. Yep, we're not quite in range, he rolled away, so we dash. It's good. With deflect, flashbang, we have Zen pockets. This is fine. The only issue here is deflecting and overstaying when the Cassidy was being double pocketed by supports. We go for the dive, we distract a lot of players. Ram and the Soldier end up isolated, Soldier dies for it. Deflect, go back to this corner, maybe back up to this box. Your supports are gonna heal you up, and then you work from there, right? Good idea, not quite the correct execution. Still good enough to win the fight though. But yeah, over-indexed on kills. What did I say? Over-indexed on kills. Now, we have a good setup, right? We got close range without taking damage because of the path we took. The Winston did engage with us. The Soldier's actively distracted and everything, right? Not full HP. Should we take this fight? And if so, how? See. Chat. If you want, I can also offer help here. But I would like you to try this. Should we take this fight? And if so, how? Walk out cooldowns to cause an opening to go on the supports. Play cover in primary. Too many enemies watching. That's an important one. Too many enemies watching. Yes. The Soldier is being actively being pocketed by both supports. Also, what is the context of the situation? Sure, there's a Genji and a Winston here, right? But our life over's on point. Our Zen Actually, Zen has quite a nice sideline. Not a sideline that contributes to the fight, but our Zen developed a good sideline during the downtime. And their soldier is actually going on the high ground and taking a sideline. But even then, even with more of the players on the team being in positions to actually, or developing positions to take a fight, these players are still not properly positioned to take a fight. Right now, we're kind of ready to take a fight where the tank is going to be contesting payload here, and our Zen is going to be able to provide a lot of spam damage. That's a really nice angle. But we're just kind of playing on an island where only 2 players can really contribute, maybe 3 if we're generous. Cause yeah, I think this guy just drops in here and doesn't have LOS. And in the meantime, it's a Genji and a Winston versus a soldier with double support pocket, a Cassidy coming back, and a tank shooting from the ground, right? They don't have the best setups ever, but this is not really likely to lead to anything. So, realistically, no, we should not be looking for a kill. This is the kind of situation where we overly focus on what's in front of us and lose track of the bigger picture, right? And the bigger picture is that the enemy team is coming back from spawn. They don't have setups because of it, right? They need to walk to their setups, right? The Ana needs to walk up and take a sideline, right? A lot of the hit scans will want to eventually be able to play bridge and maybe shoot from above here or here, etc., right? Their Sigma is on low ground, right? It would like to walk up the stairs and come here and etc., etc., right? The enemy team is coming back. They cannot take a fight in these circumstances. So they cannot stop Point. So Point will move for free for a while. So right now it's a positional battle. The team that positions better will have a better shot at winning the fight because their setups are superior. They allow them to take less damage, apply more damage than the enemy team, etc. So what we need to be thinking about here is not, oh, this soldier is half HP in front of me, maybe I can kill. What we should be thinking about is we are just poking the soldier to slow down the rotation while waiting for the moment that the real fight begins. Because right now, dying is the worst thing we can do. It would be better to AFK than to risk our life fighting the soldier. Literally, if you go up here and AFK until Point gets to corner and the enemy team has developed positions and your Winston jumps, you're doing more. Because then your Winston jumps the hit scans that are over here or whatnot, and then during the time you're gonna drop and you're gonna be in close range and you're gonna create a lot of chaos and you're gonna actually have Zen support and Lifeweaver support and your soldier's gonna be able to shoot things, right? So right now we overly focus on what's on our screen and lose track of the big picture, right? And that's very, very common. Very, very, very common. Especially because the game, like a lot of the players don't actually flex between roles. And even if they do, it's easy for them to not really be aware of all the big picture stuff because the game doesn't really have any tutorials teaching that type of stuff, and a lot of the time the feedback it provides can be kind of mixed and doesn't cause players to just, as they rank up, to gradually learn those skills necessarily. There are a lot of players even in Grandmaster and Champ that would do this type of stuff and overly focus on the soldier kill, right? Maybe because they're just better mechanically, more competent for the kill, but even then a lot of them will just try the skill and they would throw a really easy fight coming up where they just have superior setups, right? Overwatch is a game that is an FPS, but it's also very heavily around strategy, right? Very, very heavily around strategy, and non-shooter things, right? It's why I think it's kind of silly to think about, oh no, I was out aiming them and they swapped to Mei and now they're beating me. Like, yes, it can be frustrating, but there's more than one way to beat you, right? If it was just about who has the better mechanics, then the person that has better mechanics would always win. But it's not just about mechanics. You can outsmart your opponent, right? Fight them in better situations, pick better characters, etc, etc. So yeah. It's just silly. And now the problem is, even though the soldier died, this soldier did not have a good setup. Not at all. What can he shoot from here? Maybe he's gonna be able to shoot something eventually, but this is not the sightline the soldier wants. This is. Or potentially this. Being able to shoot backline. Maybe even going up the ship or something, right? Meanwhile, we as Genji, how threatening are we when we have a high ground like this that allows us to drop on hit scans and stuff before resources, right? We are infinitely stronger in this position than the soldier, so threatening our life is just bad. What about the setup? What's wrong with this? Yeah, just trying to run past Sigma, ignoring setup. We go up here, we flank through here, and then we can drop, right? In this case, we would find the soldier here, it would be a free kill. But otherwise, since the enemy team does not have high ground, but we do, we can just walk through the high ground, as we wish. Hello, this is juicy, incredible value, right? Or we go here, and then drop here, whoop, Juno. Right? Instead we're facing a Sigma on points. And now we have our deflect force, because not only are we in a bad range to fight the soldier, but we're over peeking and not properly using cover. Like, we're not hiding behind the payload so that we don't get our deflect force. Because if we were, we could just see the soldier, oh, he's actually in dash range, he's isolated, right? Both supports don't have LOS. Then we could actually fight him. In this situation, it could, from this bad setup, do it because the soldier is isolated, right? But here we just lose our deflect, because this time we didn't set up, right? First time that we didn't really set up. Now here we just stagger. And here we just go point again. This time it's not terrible, because the Sigma is overextending somewhat. And he's distracted. Like, this is a lot of damage, this is very good. Set up, no, right? We don't want this. We don't want this. If we're gonna fight the Sigma, we want to do it from here, where if he rocks, we don't have to burn our dash, right? We want better cover, so that, I mean, of course, because of the rock, but also just to avoid damage in general. The moment we don't want to pick this guy anymore and we want to be able to set up for something else, want that option. And from low ground, don't really have that option. Not without a big cost. And then we just commit when he's not quite killable and he has double support pocket and still cooldowns to live. If we want to commit on this guy, dash up to avoid damage, pull out blade, just blade the Sigma, it's free. But yeah. He can shoot Sigma, absolutely. Like right now this is good because the Sigma is distracted, but it's more so an accident, it's not because he set up well. I'm not gonna swap account right now to grab a code from my ult. Maybe I will play a quick play to showcase. But like, if you wanna shoot tank, do so from a good angle. That's the thing. Setup before fighting. A lot of players just think about the fighting. They think, oh, I'm playing Genji, they're playing Cassidy Soldier, they're playing Ana Juno, like very vulnerable characters in theory, right? If I get close, I have the advantage. But if that's all you do and you think, oh, Genji beats these characters in a one-on-one or whatever, or oh, Genji beats these characters up close, and then what you do is you walk here and then you see the soldier high ground and then you get your deflect force. Now you can dash, right? Or you see these characters and you instantly dash, like the situation that we saw before with the supports pocketing, right? And we dash and then we die and the soldier lives for a while. We're lucky that our Winston was able to actually kill the soldier, right? But that comes from us thinking in a vacuum and not actually putting in the work necessary. There's no such thing as a freebie, really, in this game. Because like, even if you think about Genji versus Zen, which I think is one of the most one-sided close-range duels in the game, if you don't put yourself in close range, or don't do so properly, right? You use dash to do it at a bad moment, right? Or you do so, you get too close and you get kicked away, right? And then you lose a lot of damage because the damage really scales based on proximity, right? Things like that. But especially just like, if you can't close the gap, if you're just hanging around in the open and just taking poke damage from the Zen, then the Zen actually ends up kind of beating the Genji. Think about Circuit Royale. Would you rather see a Zen or like a Mercy? Because I certainly would rather see the Mercy, because the Mercy not only doesn't provide this the defensive support ult, at least not as good of a one, but she doesn't poke me out on a map that I don't really have easy access to backline. She doesn't really provide the same level of spam damage that I'm gonna have to deal with when I'm trying to close the gap and actually be able to fight in the range that I want to, right? So it's all about context. So yeah. The person that submitted this, are they still on the stream? Do they need me to write notes in the Discord or no? Or can I move on to the other one? Setup support? No, not necessarily, no. Think about the range of your character. Setup means that you're ready, right? So if I'm here, I'm not really ready to do the things that I want to do, right? Genji often wants to just fight up close. Not always, right? Sometimes your setup will be just for poking, right? But setup, you can think about setup as, oh, being ready, right? I'm set up, I am ready, right?
Your choices lead to
So setup for what? That is the key thing, right? That's why I'm talking through this nuance, right? Because Genji doesn't always want to go for squishies. And he can't always go for squishies. A lot of the times what you're gonna end up doing early in the fight isn't going on the squishes because they're too far back, they're too hard to access. It's gonna be stuff like this, where you're set up to fight the tank and get a good trade. And then after you force the tank back, then you develop your own position further forward. Maybe you manage to set up on the squishies, and then you go on the squishies, right? But regardless what the idea that you want to go for, what play you want to make, regardless of what it is, you want to set up for it. So if you want to fight the soldier that's on the high ground, how do you get to the position where you can fight, right? How do you prepare yourself for that play? If you want to shoot the tank, how do you prepare yourself to shoot the tank? If you want to blade, how do you prepare yourself to blade? Sometimes that's positioning, or almost always it's positioning plus timing, I should say. But sometimes it's also about certain cooldowns, right? Sometimes it's more complicated than just those two, right? Sometimes you're gonna be waiting for a key cooldown to be used to be able to go. Like, for example, you might be worried about anti-nade when you blade. So the moment that anti-nade has been forced, now you can blade because you have the lifesteal perk, and now you can just slice through the enemy team with like 400 effective HP because you're gonna heal so much, right? So then you get to a good position, you wait for a good time, and you wait for that cooldown trigger, right? But the important thing is, you think about the play that you want to make, and then you try to meet the prerequisites for making that play as best as possible. Yeah, of course it's possible to set up for the wrong play, but you're only gonna figure that out through practice, right? Experience. Do stuff, see what works, what doesn't, see if it failed because the idea is bad or you executed it poorly, etc, etc, etc. A lot of the times the play that you're going for doesn't matter as much as being properly set up for making that play. Because you could argue that, oh, the Genji setting up to go on the squishies is better than the Genji setting up to go on the Sigma in that Gibraltar game that we're reviewing. And yes, that might be true if it is possible to choose between the two. But I would much rather have a Genji that is set up to fight the Sigma than a Genji that is not set up to fight the squishies and is fighting the squishies. Because we saw what happens in that case, right? Which is that we try to go for a kill, it seems like we get so close, we fail, we don't get the kill, and we die. And then we end up being in this mentality of, oh no, Genji sucks, Genji doesn't deal enough damage. When in reality we were fighting a 2v5, where everyone on the enemy team was able to contribute to that skirmish, and only the Genji and the Winston were able to do something. Right? Where could I submit? It's pinned, no? I don't know if there's like some sort of issue with like the mobile. Maybe on mobile you can see the pinned message. If that's the case, I would be happy to explain, but if that's not the case, and if you can read the pinned message, I would appreciate it. Because I pinned it for a reason, right? So that I don't have to answer the same thing to every viewer. But yeah. Okay, so the main one for this VOD setup comes before action, right? And then what was the other thing? First fight timing, second engage on the Cassidy, oversee their welcome, because we over-indexed on the kill. Don't overly focus on kills. How's that? Lose track of the big picture. Yeah, I think those are good. We move on to a diamond VOD. Oop. I don't know why sometimes the pacing doesn't work here.
Ready for battle.
I still.
But yeah, give me just like 1 minute. I'm gonna go grab more water, and no problem. Alright chat, I am back. Follow a topic for a while now, just to look at my team and follow up on any damage that is done by my team. Some games the mindset stops working, some games it works perfectly. Sometimes people get low, but I'm blind as to who is low and who to engage. Okay. Just get my sleeve back on. There we go. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We're all here to learn. If anything, I applaud the courage of the people that are putting themselves out there to be reviewed. I'll always make sure that it's a safe environment for people to do it. I will not allow any toxicity towards any student of mine. But even in such an environment, it does take courage to come forth and do this type of stuff, so don't worry. You're already doing great.
Let's roll out, squad.
One thing I'll say, Jordan, is that one of the issues that I've seen from interacting with you, that you have over a period of time, is that you tend to overly focus on a specific idea and try to apply it too broadly. Like, okay, so Genji is supposed to set up on an off angle, right? So you always set up on the off angle, you never ever stay main. Oh, so Genji is supposed to go in squishes, okay, so you always go for squishes, you never shoot the tank. That type of thing. There are too many variables in this game, there's too much variety for this to be the case. There are games where you're gonna be shooting the tank a lot. There are games where you're gonna be permanently setting up for squishes. There are games that you don't care who you're fighting. All you're doing is controlling certain areas of the map. There is a lot of different things in this game, right? And so it's important to understand why an idea works in a situation and not in another, right? Because you have gathered a lot of knowledge over time, right? It's just that I feel like you have this tendency to just like believe that stuff that you learn that is very useful isn't that useful because it has failed in situations where it is not supposed to actually work, right? Like you're trying to, for example, let's say that you heard that you're supposed to shoot Malga a lot in the Malga mirror, which you are, right? Usually. And then you end up in that situation thinking that you're always supposed to spam tank a lot, and then when you're facing a Zarya that has high energy, you end up frontlining or even from the off angle try to shoot, but the hitbox and then her ability to just fry you make it so you really struggle to get value in that game, right? When in that game you're probably supposed to just avoid Zarya a lot. Right, that type of stuff. So like here, for example, what do you think is Genji's supposed approach? I'm currently going to be talking in generic terms because I still think that the thinking generically about certain matchups is useful because that is going to be how you approach it most of the time, right? Of course, there's always going to be the exceptions, right? But how do you think that you should generally position against something like Hazard? Because you did not walk in here and get surprised by him, right? Or surprised that they have a Hazard. It's almost 30 seconds in. You could press tab and check that they have Hazard. 15 seconds into the game, right? You also had peeked beforehand and knew the Hazard was in this general vicinity, right? I'm assuming that from your deflect usage, you don't feel comfortable being in this range against Cassidy. So I'm already going to assume that your answer is probably going to be something like, don't get too close. Let's wait and see what you say. Okay. We can worry about intentions later. The intentions are gonna be useful, but right now I just want you to think in a vacuum. Genji versus Hazard. What range do you want? Hello? Did my stream DC for a second? Or is the game just drunk?
Ready for battle.
I still have much to learn.
Outside of flip range? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hazard has too easy of a time chunking you and forcing a lot of cooldowns for very little of his own resources in close range. So you have to play in a range where you can reactively deflect a leap if he's gonna make that push. I still don't know whether or not that is a good trade. That is one of the things that I want to study over time. But yeah, you absolutely do not want to get too close to this character. So like losing deflect here already really hurts her ability to mark this tracer, for example. It hurts her ability to quickly go for a flank and just go on a backliner, right, etc, etc. Heck, it hurts her ability to just stay here if we want. If we don't pick this guy and he leaps us, we have deflect to help stabilize us. If we deflect now but this guy leaps, now we have to dash out. And now we have burned both our CDs. So even if we want to stay here, right? But yeah. Now as for intentions, you don't want the guy to walk here for free. Okay, that's a really useful thought. So can you do something about it? If you don't really want to engage in against him close range or under most situations, can you do something about him being here? Like, can you do so properly, right? And by that I mean you take a good trade, you don't take a bad trade where you're losing more resources than he is losing, right? That can come from your diva being on this angle and you being on this one. So now if the hazard goes on you, the diva is just farming the hazard. So that could be a situation where you can be close. Because in the circumstances the diva is tanking, or you would turn into the tank and the diva turns into the DPS, right? Or maybe you could try and poke from this angle, right? So there are ideas here. Maybe you can. Now, the other thing, very, very important here. Should you? That's the more important question. Should you? Is, let's say, this angle good for you? Is there another angle that allows you to maybe poke out this hazard? I mean, maybe it could be here, but then it's very easy for the hazard to just use cover and hide from you, right? And then this is kind of a sad position if you can't poke the hazard, isn't it? It's interesting to think about that, right? How you want to take the interaction with this player or with this character. If you can do it and if you should. Because in a situation like this map, and this is something I really like about Runasapi. Runasapi might be one of my favorite maps in the game. There are options. So many options. There are long range sightlines everywhere. But like everywhere, there are short rotations that can be made for the short range characters. The long range characters can rotate from one long sightline to the other. All sightlines feel accessible for every type of character. There are enclosed spaces, there are open spaces. It's a map that works really, really well, I think. So because you have so many options, it's really just about your own knowledge, right? Your own experience to be able to just take the best one, right? And this is why I'm really emphasizing on like the should you. Because maybe you can poke this guy from range, but Hazard is not the easiest tank to farm from range. It's also not a tank that cares all that much about your range pressure, because it's not as easy to headshots, and he has armor, which is also reducing your damage a lot. So here, the moment that you go here and then this area is busy because Hazard is contesting it, and maybe your team is not quite set up to be able to fight him. Like, I don't think that the Moore and the Diva really want to walk here and fight the Hazard. I think the Hazard just kind of beats them in this area. I probably just want to navigate over here. Just use this more open space where the Hazard feels a little bit clunkier. And especially because the Hazard is not here, so I can navigate this safer. And now, because nobody else really in their enemy team, except for Tracer, wants to fight me close range, and in this case the Tracer is my backline, I can just go here and just access backline and, oh, would you look at that, there's a low HP Freya. There's a tap here, right? And I guess in this case the Zen is not there, you don't know that, right? But there are options. Arcanist Tracer is fine.
Let the push commence.
You can see right there how the range interaction really helped. The deflect was more so for the Zen, but the Hazard still couldn't do anything, and now you back up. But now that you close the gap again, oop, that's half your HP. And you lost dash, and you dealt 0 damage to the Hazard, right? me go back. What are we doing? So team dies, we need to wait for the team. Marking tracer. Fine. Generally good Genji position, right? But now what? Let's think about it. We have options. We have options for positions we can play. We have options for the plays that we can make. We can just shoot this hazard. We can go on this backline. We can rotate here and fight the tracer, or rotate here and take a deeper angle on the backline. We can dash across, probably not directly on the hazard, but we could probably dash over here to try and deny the hazard this position. We have options. What are we thinking, chat? For the team, really good shouts. What is the team up to? Nope. This player does not have a good sideline. Nope. The Hog is coming back into the fight. Nope. My Zen is peeking the long sideline, but the long sideline far back. Which means that the only person that can see these players aside from me is the Sierra. And my Mora is fighting the Tracer. So fighting these players while in a vacuum, good? In this circumstance, absolutely no. Not enough people on our team can see this. We're not gonna win this. Unless we vastly out-mechanic them. End up having to give up a little bit of space. Would probably have been better to back up here to give up less space. Maintain the ability to maybe fight, but yeah, losing Sierra here while the team already has such terrible positions, yeah, it's rough. Fighting Tracer here is good. Okay, and this is really nice. You see that it's a 2v1 on the angle. So rather than using this angle to maybe develop and find a setup on the backline, you go like, nope, can't win this, don't have help, so now you rotate the other way. Fight the Tracer for the angle, probably. Yep. So Tracer abandoned the angle, you notice that, you try to go to the backline, but your team's already dead, right? So a little bit rough. And it's a tough situation here, right? Because it feels like you played that fight well. You tried to go on angles to develop your position and everything. And you took like neutral trades at worst. And at best you had good shots of getting in very favorable engagements on backliners. Backliners that don't want to fight you close range, right? But your team just collapsed. Right? Could you have done something about it? This was nice. Good spacing against the hazard, right? Not quite in leap range. Dealing more damage to him that we're taking. Oh. Now we engage in the Freya. Once the hazard is out and our team has walked and has a resource advantage. Well done. Right? You saw Parissa, huh? Ooh. I mean, I don't hate it. But at the same time, you really should just be able to beat him in the 1v1. He has already burned Discord, you're basically full HP. The moment you walk climb here, he's not ready to aim at you. Right? But sure.
Let us proceed.
Pushing the advantage, good.
My ultimate is charging.
Forward spawn.
Now, actually, no, never mind. Let me look at this a little bit closer.
Into the iris.
Then surprises you, so you run.
Surrender to my will. The robot is in our possession.
But yeah, I think this is enough for me. Cause like on this fight, and I want you to now think about a different matchup, right? Now that they swapped tanks, how do you feel about the Genji versus Orisa interaction? Genji catches a spear and he's done? No? Genji is one of the best characters to deal with spear because Genji is hard to spear. Genji has deflect to deflect the spear back or deflect follow-up. Orisa has a massive hitbox and can't move around very well. So you can farm so much damage on Orisa. And Orisa does not have very easy punish to you if you play cover well. If you don't play cover well, you can track the Genji, assuming good aim, right? On Orisa, and then the Genji is actually losing the HP trade. But if you play it properly, Genji farms Orisa while barely taking any damage back. Absolutely farms. Very different from Hazard. In terms of the range you can play, in terms of how the resource trades often go. And the important thing here, and the reason why I'm emphasizing on the Orisa so much here, is because you want to go on the Zen, but the Zen is guarded by a Tracer. And the Tracer is getting Zen's help, and you are not getting help from your team. Not directly, not indirectly, really. Because the Zen isn't really orbing you or doing stuff here. I guess, I mean, indirectly, I guess if you could say that you distract Chu and then your team wins the fight here, but like, it's a really sketchy 1v2 for you to take because you start to lose the trade, Tracer can chase you really hard and you're probably dead. So, you wanna go on the Zen if he's vulnerable. A lot of the time early on in fights he won't. Either because he'll be playing in a range that's too far from you, especially with a team that does not enable you to take such greedy positions as you want to. Right? You want to hold here, but you don't have an Ana to heal you at range and your Zen is ignoring you. Right? Also the Tracer is marking, so that double discourages you from doing this. The terrain is good, but the terrain is not enough for you to be able to engage the Zen right now. The BAP is really far away. Maybe you could go on the BAP and you could set up for him, but right now the terrain doesn't really allow you to. Because like, this is contested, you're not really gonna go this deep, not while the payload is there, right? This is gonna be contested by Freya and this is too far for you to engage. Not without this BAP being low in resources especially. So the BAP is probably inaccessible and the Freya is really hard. Freya is really hard to catch as Genji. Genji can take a really good trade against her. She has to space properly to not blow up. She's 225. She's a hit scan. right? She has some ability, but like a lot of the hits can do, right? So it's like you're gonna have trouble going through the sideline, but this Freya is gonna have trouble actually walking up as you're here, because if she doesn't ignore your threat, then you go on her and you kill her, right? So nobody this early in the fight is showing a vulnerability for you to go on them, even though they are in theory the squishes that the Genji player wants to go on, right? And in the meantime, there is a fat tank that can't really do much about you to stop you from hard farming them. She really doesn't have that type of option. She's kind of immobile, she's good at bunkering the objective, she's really slow at clearing angles. Her mobility is extremely limited, so at the moment that you take any sort of verticality or you dash away or anything like that, she can't really try to force a chase or punish you like a Hazard could, right? If you drop low or whatever. So you're very free to just force your advantage on her. And she can't really ever punish you if you make a mistake, unless it's a very severe mistake. So early on in fights, I would just be hard shooting Orisa. Hard shoot Orisa, either from like a good corner in this case, where they're playing it's harder. When the Orisa was inside, shoot from here or here. Probably here is better because this has a mini closure. They can maybe steal from Tracer, especially if she comes to fight you. And there's also an off angle, like the Orisa is going to be looking main because your team is main. So you want the off angle, right? And then as they come around, you walk climb, you shoot them from above, you double jump, you drop, you shoot. Maybe if you stop being able to use this position because the Freya and the Bab start peeking main. So this stops being safe, right? The Tracer is taking this angle, this stops being safe. You drop back to a position like this, shoot her from range, from an off angle. She looks at you, you D-peek, she stops looking at you, you re-peek and shoot. Very easy primary fires to hit. Hard farm the wrist early. The moment that the Tracer stops marking the Zen, develop position toward the Zen. The moment the Bab gets too close, go on him, right? The moment that the Orisa starts to commit on your Hog and uses Fortify, stop fighting the Orisa, not worth it. Flank, hit the Bab. You're just biding your time. And while you're biding your time, you find the highest value play that you can in the moment. And in this case, it's probably farming the Orisa. But in this fight, we have 2500 damage, right? To start. We take 100 damage. We get healed by Zen. We use our deflect to take 200 damage. We almost die. We realistically should have died. Now we force our Moira to heal us a bit. And we have dealt 80 damage. We didn't really contribute anything in terms of like... I mean, I guess we did provide some distraction value, but for the most part we were just like hard losing the trades that we were taking. We weren't really denying space all that well. Because this Tracer was able to, because she was able to beat you on the angle, she got to earn the ability to use this flank to maybe hit your team and stuff like that. So really didn't really do very much on this, right? Because of the way that position, we kind of put ourselves in the middle of everyone. We did not really, like by over focusing on the Zen, we kind of struggled, etc. Because we were trying to do stuff too early. This is good. It's too early to do anything more than this, right? This is gonna be good. Unfortunately, the problem here is that this double jump is really bad. You can't double jump here. Just hug the corner. The double jump causes you to stay here for longer than you want, take a little bit more damage than you want, etc. Like if you just hug this corner, maybe don't get your deflect forest, deflect here. Then you can keep shooting the Orisa easier, you have the mini, you don't have to drop. Or if you're just more efficient at climbing after, to just go in the Surge. But notice how the fights that you're taking feel bad, and right after you take a fight that feels bad, something that would be really good shows up. You're committing to fighting a little bit too early. Because right now, awesome angle. Even if you go like wall climb here or whatever, right? Awesome fight. Absolutely want it, right? But because you don't have cooldowns, don't have really the position, you can't fight.
Eyes open now.
What up, Task? Yeah, let me go back. This is good. This is actually very, very good. You're using cover well to not really taking damage. It's a bit of an awkward spot since peeking to try and shoot the Orisa means that you're not only picking the Orisa but also the Sojourn and the Zen and everything. Picking the left side against the Mora doesn't feel the best here. This is not the greatest position for your team realistically. Like, if I was in a champ lobby, I'm pretty sure that what this team would be doing is already rotating to catch their team here, because this is a much better place to fight. But let's ignore that, right? You are here, you're handling the cover well. Shoot the Orisa from the side, and the Orisa is being tanked by the Hog, so you're getting a lot of free damage. You're really helping your Hog to not be chased. That was good. You basically took 0 damage and you dealt a fair amount. And the moment that the Orisa drops too low, or the more after the vulnerability, or whoever, right? You still have resources to be able to make the play on them.
My ultimate is charging. My ultimate. My ultimate is charging.
Come to me.
My ultimate is charging.
Okay, now we're lost.
My ultimate is charging.
And this is an important situation. Now what? Because again, a big topic that we have been talking about in this VOD is, like, we have been going more in depth about what we were talking about in the Gibraltar game, about like the matchups in a vacuum. Like, yeah, in a vacuum maybe you can go in the Zen, but like in the actual game when the Zen can be playing very far away or can be protected by the Tracer or whatever, right? Can mean that it's actually not a positive matchup for you. Can be a neutral or even a negative one because he just provides so much poke damage, right? Read the pinned message. But in a vacuum, it's easy to just be like, oh, positive matchup versus Zen, positive matchup versus Soj, right? Those are big ones for the for like Genji in theory, right? Like in terms of squishies. But in practice, you are in this position. It's an enclosed angle. It's an off angle, right? In theory, it's everything that Genji wants, right? But where is the Soj? Uh-oh. Not a great range for Genji to be fighting in, right? So we hide. So we hide. Can't really engage, especially not with the Mora being there. Oh, that's a fortifying Orisa. Right? We had some sort of idea to get close here. Went back, probably because we were seeing their Tracer, Zen get destroyed. Probably not the best idea. Just a quick tip. The general rule of thumb is you do the play that you're set up for. If you want to help your Zen with Tracer, you should set up to fight the Tracer. You should not give up your setup that you're developing on these players to go here. You are set up to make a play on these players, you ignore the Zen, you go on these players. right? Making the play that you're set up for is better than going for a play that you're not set up for, right? But the important thing here is that, like, it's easy to look at this and be like, oh wow, you should have been having an easy time. But how do you actually go about the situation? How do you actually fight someone positively? That's what I want you to stop and think about. What's the first step that you have to take? Why am I getting so many pings? Oh. Set up or look around, yep. Information. The more information that you have, the better your decision making can be, right? So where is everyone? Where is your team? Where is the enemy team? Oh, you find Sojin main, you find Orisa here, you know that your team is here, right? Especially you notice that this area is empty, maybe you go and play this area for a bit, right? You deny the Tracer this angle, right? You poke the Orisa from range where it's hard for her to do anything about you, right? Because like right now it would be nice to do something about the Soj, but you can't really walk main because of the Moira, and you can't really dash across because then it's too easy for a Tracer and Moira and stuff to chase you. Your team does not have that kind of space right now, right? So these options right here seem bad. So you go here and you probably just try to walk this way or just straight up dash this way and use this cover and try to develop this angle and then shoot the wrist and maybe deepen through this area or eventually earn this, right? Because just sitting here is not great. This is better, right? When they gave us some space, like they stopped being main. We noticed that and we develop here. And if we continued going here, they wouldn't be able to make a play. But yeah. Not. Yeah. This is not a great position. This is a good angle. Nice. Very, very, very nice. What I like to see, right? We go main, we notice that it's bad, so we stop going main. If we wanted to go somewhere from here, we probably need to go left, let's say dash left. Shoot from here while anchoring points, or go here and deepen, right? Dash engage once we have an opportunity, right? A timing window, provided by our tank or someone else. Or we can just take this angle. And then the moment there's a good timing, the moment that we have a good trigger to go on, we engage, great. Oh, blind, lack of information, so bad. Ends up getting a kill, but we didn't need it. Fight was already won, right?
Let the push
The lead awaits us.
Formation, Soj at range. This is not really good, is it? Right? Like we're kind of caught like, where do I go? What do I do? Right? Zen being here is a surprise, but what is this angle gonna provide you? Who are you gonna be able to get on if you're here? Well, the soldier's not gonna walk up this far. Not while her team is still here, right? Maybe the soldier would take this angle if the wrist was already holding here and your team was here, because then that angle is safe. But right now, while your team has this position, if you want to go, for example, on the Sojourn, which is one of the best types of plans that you can make towards setting up, the Sojourn is gonna be here, or maybe trying to use this as a flank, right? So how do you set up for her? who are you gonna be able to see and shoot from here? Probably just the Orisa or maybe the Mora. You're not gonna be able to see much, provide much value from your damage. You're not gonna have great dash access to anyone when there is a trigger to go in, an advantage to be pushed. So probably just go through here. Oh, now this looks a lot better. A lot better angle to shoot the tank. A lot better angle to access backline at a good moment. Ability to deepen the angle, etc. Right? So this is where we combined foresight into the analysis that we have been making, right? Where is the enemy team likely to set up for the coming fights? Where can I best set up considering that?
They've taken the robot. How irksome.
My ultimate is charging.
We have been able to come up with good ideas in this game. Like you showcase that, for example, on our defense of that area. Right here when you went from main to this flank and then got an easy kill in the Zen, right, for example. But that was very, very reactive. Very reactive. You did not expect into the Soj Zen Orisa spam to not want to go main and want to probably go here against a comp that has limited angle control. Probably only the Tracer because I don't expect the Mora in this rank to be DPSing and controlling angles on her own. So you're not really making good use of your mobility freedom in a lot of these situations to take the angles. Where are we going? Nice. This is a good angle. You handled the angle poorly, but this is a good angle. Don't peek. Wall climb. Go here. Peek shoot. From a better angle with one that the Soj can shoot. So you just take a trade of the Mora. Hold them here. Or back up a little bit if you don't like this piece of cover. And use this one. Or even this. Right? Deny them the angle. If they push up, you can engage them whenever. Shoot main or whatever. Really good. Really, really good wall climb. Fortunately, we screwed up mechanically, but we still got the kill. Our setup was great. Okay. Now guess where we are? Main. Now, the Orisa is dead, but assuming that the Orisa was alive, where would we want to be here? Would we want to be main? Or would we want to be here? Or would we want to be here or here? Which angle is most likely to give us what we want? Left side? Left side is good, yes. Left side is pretty good. Left side also has the benefit of if your team starts winning here, you have a pincer on the enemy backline as they try to kite your team. Right side is a little bit of a longer angle, one that you might want to use if you want to clear an enemy hit scan that is playing here. Like Sojourn playing here makes your Orisa have a really tough time walking up because it's so much damage. So then you going here and removing this angle from Sojourn is really useful, right? So both angles are viable, right? It just depends on the type of idea that you want to go for, what you think is most valuable in the situation. Here, where's the enemy team gonna fight? Where is their setup? Do you want to be on this angle? Do you want to be doing something like here? Do you want to be going somewhere here? Deep? I don't know. Think about them. Right? We're just blocking main. Okay, find the risk on the angle to shoot. That's not bad. Oop, I like this flank. It's a good flank. Not too bad. Not too bad of a fight. Because the thing is, as much as it was main, there's a main angle that provides very easy access to backline, so it's pretty good. You can just chill here, kind of have a neutral position that allows you to go anywhere at a moment's notice. And then the moment that the fight starts to break out and then this is free, you just go from the flank and just have access, right? It's not a bad idea. In this situation. No. But the big thing to me is that a lot of this is just like very, very, very reactive, right? We're not thinking about the... We're not thinking so much about where we want to set up according to the map, and especially based on the enemy comp. Right? So, one of the big things to think about in this matchup is where does the Sojourn and the Zen want to play? Because they are incredibly powerful, especially on this map, if left uncontested on a good sideline. Because there are some amazing long-range sidelines on this map. Amazing, right? Sojourn can just play around here and just slide and take a good angle on your backline. And then there are all these sidelines for defending or attacking, right? And these sidelines and these sidelines. And there's always access for you to be able to go on them and deny them. So where do they want to go? Be there before them, that they can't use it. Flank to get to them and either try to kill or actually get the kill. Think about the angles that the Tracer wants. Be there to mark the Tracer so the Tracer can't go on your Zen and kill her. Things like that, right? Be proactive about thinking about the map and the matchup to know what types of plays you want to make. No, information in general. Information in general, not just team comps, but yes. Map and team comp are some of the most important pieces of information that you have. Absolutely. Absolutely. How do you study team comps? You theorize about them. You try different approaches. You think about what each character provides. You think about the map and what the map provides, so you then apply one information into the other, right? So Sojourn, good long range character. Zen, good long range character. Sojourn has more mobility than the Zen, so if the Zen might be really strong on a sideline like this, but it takes longer for him to earn this, and if his push doesn't have the same kiting ability as Sojourn has with slide, right? But one big thing on when I look at this matchup is that the Tracer and the Moira, you can probably fight on even ground or slightly disadvantaged a lot of the time. So it's not all that great. Don't really want to just look for neutral trades or anything like that. But a lot of the Sojourn, Zen and stuff, they can't really fight you. So if you can deny their sightlines, that's really, really powerful, right? And that this is a map where their sightlines are really, really powerful. So then suddenly you have like, oh, that's a really nice idea. This is a game where I'm going to be playing to deny the long range angles. That's a really powerful play that I can make. So for example, on this map, because I know that this map provides such long range power, and I know that these characters have such long range power, right? And not just that I know that the map provides those positions, right? Those long range sidelines, but I also know, because I've fought so much in the map, that I know how fights usually break out. I know that if we are fighting on this corner, but their hit scan has this angle or this angle, and my tank is trying to anchor this corner, we are gonna lose most of the time. So what I do is, I think about an approach such as, how do I deny this hit scan angle? And then the approach can be here preemptively, so that the hit scan cannot take this angle. Because if Genji is here, the Sojourn can go from this position to here with a slide, and now you can't dash push her, because she'll get pocket from her team, and you don't have an out. But if you're here preemptively, the Sojourn can't slide here, because then she's the one that doesn't have an out. The order of operations is incredibly important. And so, a lot of the times against these types of comps in this map, the moment that I expect a fight to happen here on this corner, I'm preemptively positioning here to deny this angle from the enemy hit scan. Hello, did my mouse just die? I think my mouse actually just died. Hello? Yeah, I think my mouse had died. Wow. So then I thought about the circumstance, right? The situation that I was put in a lot and sucked. And then I theorized about it, and then I found something that felt good, right? It's a problem solving, it's a puzzle, essentially. And you just have that for different matchups, for different maps, etc, etc. And the more knowledge that you gather, the better you are. Like, the better you're gonna be on different maps, the more efficiently you're gonna be able to make this process in the future, etc, etc, etc. Right? Another note that I have about this map is how difficult it is to push through this choke from both sides. It's tough to go through here because it suddenly opens up and the enemy team has such great angles everywhere. This angle, this angle, this angle. And same thing here. Try to push up, the enemy team has great angles here, here, here. So if we are a team that wants to fight in this position, right? Where do I need to go as Genji? I need to go through this angle, because this is gonna provide some distraction to allow my tank to actually press W and not get destroyed by a firing squad uphill. Maybe I'm gonna deepen the angle, even, to have better access to backline. Maybe I'm gonna gain the ability to dash engage here at a good time to allow my tank to press W, because I'm absorbing so much aggro from these players, right? So much attention. I theorize. That's how you learn. So yeah, what you do is, first step, I'm gonna be writing this on Jordan's VOD. First step, pattern recognition. Notice something to yes. Second step, gather information about the situation. Third step, use said information to problem solve. Fourth step, Create and apply solutions until something feels good. That's how you slowly gather up knowledge, right? Make sense? So a recent example I can give is when I was playing ball on this map. It was overtime and I wanted to use minefield to just want to win. The enemy team was pushing the payload around here, and I could just grapple up and just do a surprise minefield over here. But the thing is, because I know that it's so hard to push through this choke, from my knowledge about how the map architecture, right, angles and etc, affect team fights and such, even if the minefield itself is a surprise and the enemy team is all caught in it and they force a bunch of cooldowns, I know that I'm not going to be able to push that advantage, and neither will my team, because my team will have a tough time pushing through the choke. And the enemy team will have an easy time just sitting behind this corner, holding the point forever. And I will have wasted minefields, a really useful resource in overtime. So what I did is, instead of just minefielding here, I waited for the bot to move up here, and then I minefielded. Because then my opponents don't have an easy position to stabilize the bot at. The minefield will force a bunch of resources out. They don't immediately die, but they'll also have to, after getting out of it and surviving, they'll have to keep touching the bot. And they have to do so in a very uncomfortable position, because this is so exposed. This, safe position to anchor points. This, in the open. You can be shot at from here, you can be shot at from here, you can be shot at from here, if there are angles developed here. Heck, someone can go all the way behind here, right? And let's say that the enemy team just pushes forward through the minefield, goes over here. Well, guess what? Your team can still develop angles all around them, 360-degree angles. Potential. And I have forced all CDs and stuff. And also, this is just a much easier area for my team to push in and push the advantage created by the minefield, the resources forced, the positions the enemy team loses, etc, etc. And so I pressed minefield, and rather than what usually happens when I minefield in these situations, and a lot of stuff is forced, but then the enemy team lives, and then it ends up not really amounting to much, or we don't actually win a lot of the fights. Whenever I've been using minefield here, which to be fair so far has been a small sample size, but so far in that sample size we have won the fight in 5 seconds or less. That is how brutal such a small positional difference, right? Just letting the bot push up these few meters does. Because I noticed the pattern, I thought about the situation with the given information, I theorized a solution, I applied it, and saw how well it worked. If it hadn't worked, I would just repeat the process until it did. Right? But that's a big thing, right? Like, this to me was just like a big knowledge gap that really affected your ability to play this game, because you did not really pressure the people that you needed to pressure. You have 4.7k damage against Orisa for most of the game, on a map where it's really easy and the enemy team did not do a really good job preventing you from taking angles. You could have taken a ton of really good angles, hard pressured Orisa, and then later on in the fight found opportunities on the Sword, on the BAP, on the Zen, etc. for kills. Right? So a little bit of map knowledge gap, a little bit of just knowledge gap on the matchups, right? But the important thing is to just try and think about the information that you have available to you and what plays you want to make based on that information, right? The reason why I'm emphasizing this so much, right, and I'm still in this VOD after almost an hour, I think, maybe even over an hour, is because while I talked a lot, yeah, I didn't follow script too much. The lesson at the end is actually fairly simple and condensed, right? It's very common for players learning the game, and might be weird to say that a player that has played for over a year at the very minimum and is diamond, right, is a noob. But realistically, there's so much to learn about this game that it's not a stretch to call people that are even in diamonds fairly new, right? And like on the grand scheme of things, right? With like how far ability can go in this game, right? Not saying that Joran is a noob and like get good scrub, right, or anything like that. I'm just saying it's fairly easy for people on the learning process, or especially the earlier stages of it where they aren't as comfortable with the game. They don't have such a large base of information, right, experience, so that they know what to do in most situations, right? They still have to think a lot actively through the games to overly focus on themselves. And that's what Joran is doing right now. A lot of angles that Joran was taking were really good Genji angles, short range off angle, right, etc, etc. The kiting and everything with like the dashes, when can I push forward, when can I back up, all of that was good, all of it through which was through the lens of himself as the Genji made sense. But on the grand scheme of things, a lot of what he did was not actually what needed to be done, because he did not think about applying his ability to play Genji to the situation he was in, denying angles such as these, taking off angles to to shoot the Orisa, etc. Right? He thought too much about his own play and improving his own individual skill to notice that part of that skill is understanding what the enemy wants and how he can deny that, right? In a way, if Joran played Sojourn, for example, on this map for 100 matches, he would become a better Genji player, because he would better understand what the Sojourn wants to do and what he can do to prevent the Sojourn from playing as much, or the Zen and stuff, right? That's the funny part, right? It's a hidden form of individual skill, one that applies less to the character and more so to the player, right? That's not necessarily Genji's skill to know that the Sojourn is gonna go here and that you can deny this angle. This is your player skill being applied through what you as Genji can do to deny these types of angles, etc. Anyway, does all of that make sense? A lot of this is not gonna be successful in the moment, by the way. Like, it's really hard to just, like, playing this game is hard enough on its own, right? If you're trying to focus on the game and then you have to problem solve new situations, or just problem solve old situations that you haven't really actively thought about ever in the moment, you're most likely gonna fail. And that's natural, that's part of the process. you do it live and then you probably fail, then you go into the replay and then you think about what went wrong and then you try to create a theory for how to handle it better in the future. Then when you're faced with that situation again, you try to apply it, you see how it goes, you tweak, tweak, tweak until it's good. And you move on to something else. Rinse and repeat. Something that I want to do is I want to extensively 1v1 a good carry. Or sorry, no. That's not, I mean, yes. I want to extensively work or 1v1 a good carry in a test environment to better understand her hitbox and strafing, to better create plans on how to duel her. And also, after that, I want to go into matches where there's a Kiriko on the enemy team and experiment with different approaches of when I use my dash, when I use my deflect, which area of her body I'm choosing to aim at. And that's very important because Kiriko is a character that has an incredibly hard head to hit. But her feet are much easier. This applies to a lot of characters, it's not as relevant to some of them though. Like Cassidy has a big enough head hitbox where it just makes sense to just aim at the head all the time. But Kiriko, if you have ever tried to duel a Kiriko that is strafing back and forth, it's easy to just not do this, right? Like this doesn't really happen. It's very easy to just be like, oh, you're trying to aim at the Kiriko and it's just like whiff, maybe one headshot. You right click and then it's one headshot, right? Really slow. That's not efficient. The Kiriko is gonna kill you. She does more damage than you, if that's how much damage you're dealing per shot, right? But if you try in a duel against Kiriko, right? Oops.
This round is mine, pocket ninja.
Missing? Oops. Missing? See how the area, I try to make as straight of a line as possible, right? Hard because right now I am charging my mouse with a wire. So this screws things up a bit. But see how the area at the bottom here, right? Her legs are wider than the head. So this is what I mean, like there are a lot of aspects of this 1v1 that I want to study because I want to get better at this 1v1. I want to be able to punish Kirikos better, both in terms of killing them and in terms of forcing cooldowns out of them and surviving. Because I feel like I'm not killing Kirikos efficiently enough, or just hitting them in general efficiently enough. And also I want to theorize about my cooldown usage, because I don't know if my approach that I've been using with swift cuts, and just like, which has been something kind of like this, deflect, this, and then you have another dash, right? I don't know if this is actually a good approach or if I'm not just giving Kiriko too many easy shots during that time. Because it might just be better to just fight Kiriko at range, shooting her feet, and then dashing in later and not trying to use swift cuts at all. Right? Even though in a vacuum I feel like swift cuts shouldn't be really good into Kiriko. I feel like the reliability of the combo and her ability to damage me up close has not really led to it feeling good. So I've been thinking about this current theory that I've had about how you approach Kirikos, and I'm trying to tweak it through extensive testing to improve my matchup. You know? That's one of the things that I want to do in the near future. Is there anything else that I've been thinking about recently about improving? In terms of characters, not as much, I don't think. But in terms of just general improvement, another thing that I've been doing is having a more critical eye to the positions and maps that I'm taking. I want to give an example. Oops. And where's Hollywood? Hollywood is hybrids. Chat? where should you set up on defense? Generally. I'm not gonna go into any matchup stuff on this map, because then it starts to add too much stuff, and I've been talking for a lot. I'm probably gonna end stream somewhat soon because I need to preserve my voice. Okay? But where do you generally set up as Genji on this map? I want you to quickly say what you do, and not just where you set up and where you go from there too. Because I'm pretty sure that I have like downloaded what everyone in chat is gonna say that they do on this map, because it's so standardized. I'm gonna give people 30 seconds and then I'm gonna go.
Let's get moving. I got papers to sign.
Okay. So, very common approach. Maybe poke a little bit once the doors open. Back up to this high ground, shoot from this high ground. And then back up here and then shoot from around point. Maybe somewhat from here. And then later on, once the fight develops toward point, you maybe shoot point, or you use this high ground for dashes on backline and stuff. Right? Just overall floating between this high ground and this high ground and the areas between to either shoot around point or access backline here. This is what 99% of the time you will see Genji players do. Including me. But this approach is not that good, I've come to realize. Because I always feel like I end up getting poked out and I'm losing space, and I can never really comfortably engage anyone, threaten anything. Never can do anything comfortably. And frankly speaking, while this flank is okay, I've never been the biggest fan of it. Never been the biggest fan. Because I feel like I can only really use this once the opponent has won so much space that at this point, either I can't really engage here because there will be two people here, like a DPS plus support, and then I'm 1v2ing and that doesn't feel good. Right? Or I'll be here, but then because our opponents have walked so far in for the backline to be here, right? Like the tank will be shoving our team back towards second point there. I will not have backup. Like, I'll not have supports up here to be able to heal me from this position, to be able to fight here and dash engage and do stuff and be safe. So what I've been thinking about doing is playing this. Off angle on point, denies the backline, really awkward angle for everyone in the enemy team to shoot. From this high ground to this area to this area to the tank. If the tank turns and tries to go here, they ignore everything from your team. And the moment that there's any vulnerability here, it's not a time sensitive flank like this high ground often is, because you often actually get poked going on this high ground. And you have to time the flank properly to be here and peeking the moment someone is low. Here, you can instantly peek and just engage any backline that is vulnerable. And honestly, I feel like this is safer if you're gonna engage, because you can go deep and go mega. Although this might be too far to go, I need to just play around with this map and see if this approach ends up being good. But I've been theorizing that this is the position that I'm actually supposed to hold. Not there and then bouncing back and forth through this area. Just permanently plays here, play this angle, and just use my close range threat to deny this position and good walk-ups from the backline here. And if they go top, but we haven't lost too much space, I can still dash engage this. I can still potentially even go from here to here, maybe at the cost of a deflect, but usually just they aren't looking at me. Maybe I make this rotate and maybe I can do some rotates over here and stuff like that, right? So while there I mean there are concerns that I have about this situation, right? I'm not the most comfortable ever with this map. I haven't really applied this theory. I've noticed the pattern about the way that defense works with Genji here that I don't like, and I've been trying to theorize a little bit of how I can handle this better. So thank you for the tier 1, Washizada. Very much appreciated. I'm sorry you don't have alerts. I'm not the best streamer. I mean, I haven't often streamed. I haven't often made content lately. So yeah, I have to get that sorted. But yeah, thank you very much. Let's think. Another map. Let's find something good. Root is an okay shout. Blizzard World is actually a really interesting one. Well, kind of. No, Blizzard World is a really interesting one. Really interesting one. Watch my videos? Well, I mean, I am multi-streaming right now. I'll not stop streaming to YouTube. If I ever stop streaming, it will be to Twitch, not YouTube. Because on YouTube, I can run streams without ads. That's the thing I really appreciate about YouTube. On Twitch, someone can want to watch and then they would be hit with forgot the name of the ads that show up before you even start watching the stream. And there's a statistic like a crazy amount of people stop watching if there's such an ad. Like 30% or something like that. And on YouTube I can disable ads, so I really appreciate that for the streams. Yeah, Town under on right side. Yeah, it's a good flank. Here's the question. Where should you hold here in Blizzard World? I run around the pillar. It's not bad initially. But again, the problem is there will be lots of long-range characters in this map because there's lots of long sightlines. So you can't really poke all that much. Right? Can't poke all that much. And then you'll get forced out of these positions. Also, it's not like this provides you the greatest setups because sure, you might be here and you might be the 9th sideline to an extent, but then they will just play slightly further away and still be able to contribute to the fights, and you can't really do much because you cannot engage this, right? You also cannot walk and engage because this high ground is not high enough or anything like that. It's always been weird because this high ground sounds like in theory it should be so good, and yet in practice ends up feeling so clunky. I've tried this position too. I don't love it. I feel like I get too easily disconnected from my teams. It's too easy for the tank to just push up to this corner and shoot me out, and now I go here and I've cost my dash. and now the enemy team can hard push and either pressure me out, and or I don't have the ability to actually engage these players as easily because I don't have dash. In theory, you can just hover between these two areas and you're always trying to walk climb and drop on the backline. You have a good close range angle to pressure people from here while you have backline supports from these positions, right? Like, in theory this is all good, but it still just feels a little bit awkward. I haven't experimented with this position too much, but in theory it's pretty good because you have a mega, you have the high ground flank, you have enough angle to pressure the walk up, you're denying any flank business over here. If they all go through there, you can not only poke them, but you can try and tail them behind, or just go to point and contest here and then develop here and then go there, right? This is a very nuanced point, I feel. Really struggle against the poke, and the backline always had at least 3 people. Yep. I mean, it's common for the map. A comp like Winston, Tracer, Cassidy, and a Brig, for example, makes a lot of sense on this map. It's a sturdy backline that has range, and a dive tank to be able to contest high grounds and take space. That especially makes holding this high ground awkward because the Winston is gonna jump here with Ana pocket at range and you can't stay. Sure, denied this. And now the Cassidy pushes up here, or worse, if they have an Ashe, the Ashe coach guns up top here, and uh-oh, how do you contest that? Dashing here is a little bit awkward into Winston Tracer dive threats, because they can chase you. Positioning here can be good, but also it's not the hardest thing ever for like the tank to push up here, or the flex DPS to push up here, and just deny you this position and force you to back up slowly. Because remember, the thing is the tank can push here, and a lot of your team cannot position as aggressively as you can on Genji. So a lot of them are going to be playing here or here and backing up behind the corner. So if the enemy team goes here and starts shooting you and stuff or pushing you, you very easily get disconnected and you have to give the space. And if you have to give the space here, what value is this position even giving you? If you're that easy to force out. At that point you might as well just play here. And then just do this type of stuff and then not get forced out so he's not be forced to make such a long rotation. You know? Something I have not really tried or thought about is trying to use this inside area for longer range poke with really good cover. You abusing the fact that Genji has no fall off, abusing this extra cover, just lurking around here for a backline, right? This is a much harder position for the enemy to actually force you out of because you have such good cover and you can always stay so close to them. And it also provides enough angle on the tank once they pressure point. I feel like this angle is probably very comp dependent, but I would assume that against a Sigma, for example, this would be pretty damn good. Because staying point against Sigma here, you probably Sigma would just peek, deal 110 damage, I think, is what his primary fire does. Could be wrong. Maybe it's 120 at this point. I don't remember what his damage numbers are at. Is awkward and then your damage is not actually that effective. It is effective, but I feel like you just take too much damage here. It's too easy for the peak shooting from Sigma and stuff like that. And like the backline is too stable in that position for you to spam Sigma that well. Sigma is interesting because like a lot of the times it feels like you should be able to get really good poke into Sigma, but you really can't. He's not actually all that vulnerable up close. But there are enough situations in which you can just take a good angle and that Genji can just hard farm Sigma. It really is just about getting these nuances right. And that's the type of stuff that I really love thinking about. Like, that's why I love Runesapi so much, because I've studied it to the point where I feel incredibly competent on the map, and I don't know what my win rate on it is, but just from vibes it feels like I'm so good at that map. Like I'm so good at that map. You know, and it feels incredibly rewarding. to have put all that thought in and feel like the knowledge pays off so hard, right? But against the Sigma can't really go out of his way to push you out here very easily, I don't feel. And this is an annoying angle for the Sigma to deal with. Now, he might be able to just bounce his orbs into this room and just poke you out. You do have a mini here, so that's not bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Sigma could just shield main, walk here, try to rock you, and then you have to dash, and then you're here, and then this angle kind of sucks. I guess you can always just back up here, just be a little bit more conservative, but I feel like this just loses you too much backline access for it to be a good position. I don't know. I just feel like just defaulting to here does not seem all that good. You know? Never have. It's not. I mean, it makes sense why you would do that. It's because the map is not the best map for Genji most of the time. And I mean, if that map is not the best for Genji most of the time, that's probably because the map is not actually all that good for Genji. Either you need some very specific team comps to work with, or you need the enemy to not play certain comps, right? But it just feels like the positions that you need to hold on Genji are a little bit too awkward for it to work, even though it sounds like in theory Genji should be fairly playable on the map, especially against the comps that you're going to be facing. What about King's Road? What are you supposed to do on this map? Play with team will follow up? Nope. Nope. Absolutely not. The big thing about King's Row, one, it's offense favored. So it is natural for the defending team to just like slowly lose their advantage, and then for the enemy team to cap. Like, you shouldn't feel bad about the enemy team actually making progress to defense. Like on Rialto is a very defense favored map. Dorado, very defense favored map. So if you are getting triple capped or even double capped a lot of the times, or even single capped at times, you should feel bad, because like it is, the defending setups are so overwhelmingly powerful, right? But in King's Row you shouldn't feel too bad. But it doesn't mean that you should just fall over in 30 seconds. And a lot of King's Row defenses, it feels like it falls over in 30 seconds. Because here's the flow that happens. The enemy tank gets over here. The backline develops angles like these. Maybe someone plays on the hotel. And now your tank really struggles. Because your tank contesting is not the same as the enemy tank contesting. The enemy tank is really safe. The defense doesn't have great angles, while the attackers have amazing angles to shoot points. So the defender tank is incredibly exposed. And as Genji, one of your biggest jobs is alleviating pressure. Off tank. Absorb pressure with deflect. Deny positions with your close range presence and mobility. Right? It feels like there has to be stuff that you can do on Genji. I've tried to play this position, to try to deny this backline walk up, right? Have a minute to play around, I always maintain my angle, I deny these high ground positions. I've tried staying around the statue to deny and trend and dives up close here and play around this mini. I've tried playing around a hotel and maybe flanking late. None of those feel like generic good answers. And it could be that this map is just like very context based, like the enemy team has a vulnerable backline, maybe you can play hotel and just flank here. Or just play around here. If the enemy team has a more bulky backline like Brick Cass, maybe you can't play around here, and the backline flank throw here is not that good. So maybe you need to just lurk here and just annoy and wait for a trigger to dive, like someone getting low, a cooldown, etc. The thing is, like, this high ground, like, if you're not denying anyone from taking this high ground, it doesn't actually feel all that good for Genji to use. It feels too easy for the players here to just look up at you and shoot you, and they're not actually all that threatened by you because your team can see here very well. And they're not likely to burn their cooldowns or take damage here, period. It's just safer than enemy team. So it's kind of awkward, right? Maybe you can play around here, but the rotations here towards healing are too long. If you take damage and it's too awkward for your team to help you. Maybe here is okay, but you kind of need a support to play up here and they usually don't. You know what I mean? It's awkward. Really, really awkward. The moment that your team loses a bunch of space, it kind of feels like this point falls apart, right? So a lot of stuff to test. Right? It might not be as simple as like my Rune Sapi game plans involving, yo, just play these positions and I kind of just default win a lot of the time. It might just be very matchup dependent which position to hold, exactly when I need to take which position, with which timing, and with how much risk each type of play that I can make has. Right? Because while the goal is to just have game plans based around 100% certainty of their strength and just like maximizing value while minimizing risk, it is very possible that there are certain matchups, certain maps and stuff like that where the best play still incurs a decent amount of risk and not as high of a reward as you would like, you know? But that will take extensive testing to have a proper sample size to be able to talk about which approaches are better, right? But I really want to do more of this type of like map analysis. Because the thing is, like, as much as I've said in the past about like map guides being bad because like the game is dynamic and stuff like that, lately I've come to realize more and more about just like how much like specific map knowledge that I have has helped me win games. Because I know which positions to fight for, which positions to clear, etc. It's not so much that I know which positions to play, it's more so that I know what I have to fight for in each situation. So the map guides are less so tailored around what I should be doing as a Genji player specific, and more so about understanding the map in general and how each type of character, right, tank, hits, can flex DPS, main support, flex support, wants to do, and how I can use my own hero kit, which is usually flex DPS, but I also play other roles, right? Case in point, right? This hero would be better. Actually, I've not played that many hours in the season. This season I played more. Understanding what everyone wants to do and just what tools I have in this situation and how can I apply those tools to make the most impact, right? That's the type of map knowledge that I've been coming around to feel like is very, very important, and I've been looking to study more lately. But yeah, I'll have more stuff to share about in this front in the future, because right now it is just a desire from me. I'll document a lot of this stuff, like I'll write down a bunch of my thoughts and everything like that, and I'll properly be able to share them in the future once I have proper findings and stuff like that. But I'm excited for this stuff in the future. Anran is just stupid. I've talked about her before. I don't really feel like talking about her again. Problem is that like her skill floor and her skill ceiling are too close together. Like she gains too much value at skill floor and she doesn't have enough skill expression. Not like she doesn't have skill expression, she really does have a lot of it. but it's undermined by how high the value she has on the skill floor is, right? So it's kind of meaningless. You have a lot of skill expression in theory, but the value that you gain from that skill expression is very minimal. Like the difference between a trash on-run and a good on-run, even though it's a big one in terms of the amount of time they put in terms of value, it's very small, which is a terrible character design. Terrible character design that I've come to realize after giving it more thought. But yeah, I'm gonna be calling it here. I've been talking for way too long. I'm gonna regret talking like this for extended periods of time, especially about water. But yeah, I am happy with this stream. I'm sorry I haven't gotten to more VODs. I'll get to them off stream. But yeah, let us see. How many people did tune in? Seems like people don't tune in as much to the VOD review ones as gameplay, which is honestly surprising to me. But hey, anyways, hope everyone enjoyed, and more stuff in the future. I'm here. I'm closing stream order. I'm sorry. You watch after? I don't promise that I'll watch today, but yeah, any VOD submission. That's one of the big things, right? Like, part of the point of these streams is to get people familiar with the system. I don't use the system just for stream VODs. I'm trying to get people familiar with submitting VODs to the specific Discord channel, because that's just a resource that has always been there and people have underutilized, you know? So yeah. Anyways, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.